We all know the feeling. You sit down to do deep, meaningful work and immediately get buried under an avalanche of repetitive tasks. Data entry, formatting spreadsheets, and drafting the exact same email for the 20th time quickly turn into a digital nightmare that crushes your actual productivity. The natural instinct is to find a quick way out. We hire a junior employee or fire up a new AI chatbot with the hope that we can dump the work in their lap and never look at it again. Simply dropping a task onto someone else's desk or into a chat prompt without a framework creates a vacuum. Without a strategic pipeline, the work inevitably bounces back to you, often requiring more time to fix than if you had just done it yourself. To actually free up your time, you have to build a rigorous, strategic procedural pipeline. It takes significant upfront effort to construct a system where tasks can flow seamlessly out of your hands and into the hands of a capable agent. When you put in that effort, you stop running from your inbox and start building leverage. Mastering the anatomy of a handoff is how you finally reclaim your focus for the high-level strategy you were actually hired to do. The first step in this pipeline is what experts call problem awareness. Before looking outward for help, you have to look inward. You need to explicitly define your project goals, what success looks like, and what specific thinking is required to get there. This diagram illustrates how we must divide those steps. We have to separate the required labor into two distinct buckets: tasks that demand critical judgment and complex reasoning, and tasks that consist of uniform, repetitive manual labor. For the bucket requiring critical thinking, you need humans. Specifically, you need thoroughbreds, talented, high-integrity people who think above the problem. They don't just blindly follow instructions. They evaluate the terrain and improve the process as they go. Looking at this comparison matrix, the right side shows our approach for the repetitive tasks. Here, the objective shifts entirely. Instead of interviewing human talent, you are evaluating and selecting the correct artificial intelligence model for the job. As we highlight these parameters, notice the different strengths. AI models are highly specialized. If you take a model optimized for raw logic and writing code and assign it to write a delicate, empathetic email to a frustrated client, it will fail. Expanding on these capabilities reveals what is under the hood. You have to check a model's ingredients. You need to know what kind of data set it was trained on and how large its parameters are before you trust it with your workflow. You could hire the most brilliant expert in their field or pay for access to the most sophisticated computing system on the planet. But if their specific capabilities are mismatched with the problem you defined, they won't get you anywhere. Finding the right person or the right software is only the beginning. Once you have them, they have to be deeply integrated into your operational ecosystem. With artificial intelligence, this requires literal technical integrations. A virtual assistant is blind until you connect it to your data sources. It needs secure access points to your databases, your scheduling calendars, and your inventory systems to actually perform a task. Human integration requires a different kind of connection. If people don't know what is going on inside a company, they automatically assume the worst. You have to intentionally over-communicate and share the details of how the business operates so your team has the context they need to make good decisions. This level of integration requires a foundation of loyalty. If a leader refuses to offer flexibility during a personal crisis, they destroy the very commitment they need from their best people. Top-tier talent eventually leaves any environment that treats them like a disposable asset rather than a human being. Whether you are providing an API key to a digital assistant or transparent, empathetic leadership to a human team member, the principle is the same. Providing full context is the only way to empower an agent to act autonomously. The ultimate goal of all this preparation is to reach a state where you are no longer micromanaging the process. You are simply verifying the final results. That level of autonomy relies entirely on a foundation of trust, and trust requires two things: proven integrity and proven competency. You cannot establish that kind of trust in 6 seconds by glancing at a shiny resume or by listening to a software vendor's pitch. It requires a consistent track record of execution. Once that trust is earned and your agents are fully integrated, the friction disappears. The burden of mundane, repetitive grunt work is finally permanently removed from your workflow.
We are rapidly approaching a point where manually executing data entry or writing routine update emails will look as historically absurd as loading a floppy disk into a vintage computer terminal. This technology functions as a sieve for your workflow. It captures and handles the robotic, predictable tasks, leaving only the work that requires human intuition and moral judgment. Stripping away the manual labor frees us to focus on what humans do best. We get to spend our time on strategic thinking, deep empathy, and complex creative problem solving. Mastering these handoffs replaces chaotic troubleshooting with predictable results. It allows you to shift from managing tasks to executing the high-level strategy that actually moves the business forward.